obvious benefits of raising the minimum wage. People are maybe going to be able to work more towards a living wage, and that's something I would like to see. I think, from a business point of view, I think we have to be cognizant of the cost of that is passed on to the business owners and companies. But I would support that. I would support that bill.
Thank you.
Being in finance, helping people with their personal financial matters on a daily basis for the last 11 years has helped me understand this issue very well. When I graduated high school, this was 20 years ago, you could get a value meal at McDonald's for like $2.50. What's it cost now? $7. That's a result of raising minimum wage is one of the factors that causes that. Basically, when you force a company to pay somebody more, they're going to pass that cost along to the people that are buying from them. So when you go to the store and you're buying your groceries and you're going to a restaurant and you're buying your meal, the cost of those things are going to go up. And so I am opposed to it because I'm opposed to anything that hurts the middle class. Basically, if you're going to cause the value of a family like mine coming home from work, that wasn't me. If I'm on the way home from work and I want to pick up a quick meal for my family, a difference of raising the minimum wage might be a difference between $30 and $40 for a meal for a family. That definitely impacts the middle class. If it's a family, working on $60,000 or $70,000 a year, you start raising the price of those things that you buy on a regular basis. It's going to get more expensive for those people that are buying those things. So ultimately, it comes back around to the people that are having the minimum wage increases. They're going to have to start paying those higher prices for those items as well. So basically, it hurts the middle class immediately because the companies are going to pass the cost along. And then eventually it works its way back through the system to the people that are having the minimum wage increases. So what we're at in a couple years from now, where the folks that are working on the minimum wage are right back to where they were, and the middle class got nowhere because they didn't get any wage increases. They actually went backwards.
Thank you.
I think too many people in America have to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet because minimum wage is so low. I support minimum wage.
Thank you.
And there is consequences, there is benefits from it. I do believe that, in theory, I believe in the supply and demand. When the jobs are out there and there's demand for them, that's what will dictate what the wage will be. But saying that when you raise the minimum wage like that, one thing it does, it puts more spending power out there. When people have more spending power, generally what you make, you will spend. So that helps the economy. It's around. It also is passed around. On the bad side of it is some of them is just barely on the level in getting some government assistance and out there working and they're getting that. Guess what? They're going to be kicked off the government assistance. So there's some consequences also to that when you pass those type of bills.
Thank you.
Raising the minimum wage won't. I mean, it would be great. I mean, if the minimum wage really did change anything, we should put it at $15, $20. We hear this argument all the time. Why don't we do that? Because at that point, we actually see the negative effects of raising a minimum wage. Bill Gates, a longtime Democrat, is a opponent of raising the minimum wage because he understands business. What will happen is you'll have companies like Dick's, Walmart, all these big corporations that we want to raise the minimum wage. Well, people want to raise the minimum wage on. What do? They hire more people on part-time. They decrease the amount of hours they can work. There's ways that they're going to get around this minimum wage. It's not going to have. But who's really affected by it is the small business owners. You already have to pay a 7.62% inventory tax. The state already puts a lot of burden on the small business owner. A minimum wage increase, you're going to go from being able to afford 3 employees to 2 employees with your capital. It's just not gonna, it's not good for them. And that's who we need to protect, and especially on High Street. I go down there and I talk to these business owners, and what are they afraid of? They're afraid of the inventory tax, and they're afraid of a minimum wage increase. Walmart doesn't mind, Dick's doesn't mind, TJ Maxx doesn't mind, because they know how to get around it. They have people that pay for that. So we need to support the small business owners, and by raising the minimum wage to $10, what you're going to do is the people that made $10, the people that made $7, and the amount that they were able to afford before that, a minor in economics can tell you that when you raise it this much, this group doesn't benefit anyway. They actually lose purchasing power. And that's what we need to talk about. It's not cash, stacks of cash, it's purchasing power with that stacks. If you look at Germany after World War II with inflation, from printing off too much money and trying to push it out into the economy, kids used to have to will wagon loads of money to buy bread. This isn't something that we can just sign a piece of paper and do. What we need to do is get better jobs in here, increase the small business owners that we have in West Virginia. Right now, I think there's a 50% of young adults between the age of 18 and 26 can't get a job, and that's because already the economy's been so hurt that businesses can't afford. So what are we seeing? We're seeing an increase in unpaid internships, a smaller job market for people without any job experience. So these are all ramifications of a minimum wage. We need to be careful when we talk about this kind of stuff. It's not I support, I don't support, but I will tell you I do not support a $10 minimum wage.
Downtown, and it might hurt her a little bit, but her position, she's in favor of the minimum wage because she sees people out there, she sees what her employees make, and she sees that they can't live very well off their current salary. So she's got no problem coughing up a little more money to help these people live. And I think that's the polemic among small business owners. I think more small business owners than you think are willing to pay a more decent wage to their employees. Additionally, I'll point out that in 1968, adjusted for inflation, the minimum wage in West Virginia was $9. And that was in an age in which small businesses were booming. I mean, booming. That's when you had the butcher shops. I don't know, I wasn't there, obviously. But there were tons of small businesses in West Virginia. And to close, I think something, too, that I'd like to see more out of people like myself who support the minimum wage is instead of every 5 to 7 years having to hear from constituents and have a rousing, oh, we need to change that minimum wage, we need to make it automatically adjusted. Thank you.
Thank you. And actually, if we think about the minimum wage, if it had kept up with inflation, it would be at $15.50 right now. So obviously, raising the minimum wage by 50 cents is just a small drop in the bucket for what really is going to cost people. I'm in favor of the minimum wage increase.
Well, I guess since we just passed the bill, the last part of February in the legislature, and I voted for the bill, I'm in favor of increasing the minimum wage. And also, during the process of discussion and while the bill was being processed, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that several small businessmen, I don't remember saying what the females did, but several small businessmen in the West Virginia legislature spoke in favor of and were supporters of the bill. So, but also, we've heard the rumor that we will be going back for a special session in the middle of May to tweak some parts of it, but it has to do with the cities and the fact that they've passed their budget and what that might do to them. But I'm in favor of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I address the minimum wage, I voted in favor. I think it's a good thing. Let's face it, there's obviously some place out there on the horizon, a tipping point where adding a minimum wage increase could hurt. But folks, $1.75, you're not even close to the tipping point. In 1977, I entered the workforce, and just 2 years later, I became manager and supervisor of a small set of grocery stores. And the grocery stores are probably, most people think, oh, they make gobs of money, but they are very much on the edge of that profit margin at all times. And in that period that I worked in the grocery store business, it was 22 years, we had 7 minimum wage increases. And I know from personal experience, we never laid anyone off, we never rolled anyone's hours back, and business kept on going as it was before. Minimum wage is a good thing. It puts money back into the economy that's not there right now, And it does a lot of positives just for the person themselves feeling better about themselves. And folks, you always want to try and make someone else feel better about themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I, like my other co-delegates and senators here, voted for the minimum wage increase. So I guess that kind of, as Senator Bob you said just a few minutes ago, that the proof is in the pudding. But, you know, I did support the minimum wage increase because it's been several years since, you know, we did have a wage increase. But, you know, some of our challenges are, and they've been alluded here to tonight. You know, West Virginia is not competitive as we could be when it comes to our business climate. We need to look for ways to be more competitive, certainly with our contiguous states and nationwide, to attract business and industry. West Virginia has the lowest workforce participation rates in the nation, and that's because we don't have the jobs to go to. It's not because West Virginians don't want to work. West Virginians traditionally have been a hardworking people. They want a good job to get up and go to every day and earn a good wage and a good income and provide a good quality of life for their family. So what we should be doing at the state level is, you know, really taking the discussion away from minimum wage. While I supported it, that's not where the discussion should be. The discussion should be, how can we make West Virginia more attractive so we attract jobs and industry that does create that supply and demand and allows for that larger wage increase for West Virginians. Thank you.
I too voted for the increase in minimum wage. The bill that we had in the Senate was actually one that was brokered by Senator Prezioso and his Office of Finance Committee one day when he was talking to BIC, Business and Industry Council, and he was talking to the labor unions, and they all would agree on this one particular deal. It was 25 the first year, 50 the second, 75 the next. One of the reasons is that by talking to some of the small businessmen, and then also talking to a friend of mine that owns a few McDonald's stores, and then another friend of mine who's in the Senate with us, Senator Faismeyer. He owns 8 Foodland grocery stores across southern middle part of the state, and he has 458 employees he had that it would directly affect every one of them, because the ones that were on minimum wage would go up a little bit. He had no problem with that, with the bill that we had. Now, he did have a little bit of heartache whenever the bill came back, 75 cents the first year and 75 the second, and not being phased in more gently for them. But neither one of them complained to me about what we did with the $1.50 increase over 2 years.
Thank you.
And I was glad to vote for that.
Just McDonald's and folks feeling good about themselves. Minimum wage is great for entry-level workers, but I would take you to North Dakota and suggest to you that a entry-level worker at McDonald's is earning over $17 an hour, and it's because of the oil and gas industry there. And to keep an employee at McDonald's, that's what they have to pay to keep somebody there, because the jobs are in the oil and gas industry there, and that's where the growth is. For 3 of the last 4 years, I spent 7 days a week standing at the Dairy Castle, working in the Dairy Castle and training entry-level workers, whether they were high school students or college students. And I'm afraid that employers of small businesses will find ways to, I don't want to say get around that, but cut the number of hours for those entry-level workers so they don't have to pay those increased rates that the minimum wage bill is going to force itself upon those employers. The real concern I have in thinking about the people that came in at the Dairy Castle and bought ice cream cones as their one dairy product, quite frankly, is the seniors. As the cost is a small business owner, I would have to increase the cost of that ice cream cone or anything else that we're selling at the Dairy Castle food item to cover that minimum wage increase. But I don't know how a number, and I think of 4 or 5 regulars that we had at the Dairy Castle, their income is fixed, much like many students. Those are the people that I think about when you hear legislators talking about the minimum wage increase.
Thank you.
Thank you. I strongly support the minimum wage.
I don't know how, I mean, we're not just talking about first-timers at their first job. We have a lot of families, members who are supporting families on minimum wage, and they're working 2 and working 3 jobs. And I think that, I think we get a lot of our dignity from the job we do. And I think it's really critical that we reward people who wait on us, who serve us food, and we treat, and then we say that we're willing to pay a fair wage to you for that service. And I appreciate all the people that need to work on a minimum wage and that help all of us, because the society wouldn't work if we didn't have those jobs available. But I think it's critical that and I think that, you know, I think you have to look at both the pluses and the minuses, and that some businesses are going to be working around it, but that's part of how they make sure that it will work. And I think it's very, very important.
Thank you.